We catch up with our representative for Mid and West Wales, Eluned Morgan. Bore da, very good morning to you.
Bore da.
It's a bit of a strange Wednesday for you, actually, isn't it?
Well, I've only got a week left in the Senedd this term. And so, we're on the home stretch now before we break up for elections. But the thing is that what that means is we've just got to get everything done and everything tied up. So we've been doing a huge amount of laws, passing them, getting them over the line. And we've passed, I think it was 27 laws during the Senedd term, which is quite a lot. Things that are largely just aimed at making people's lives better. So that is really good. And yesterday, really pleased that we managed to get the ban on greyhound racing through. So that was the one we got through yesterday, as well as registering the need to register tourism outlets. So that's quite important, just so that we can have standards and protect people, perhaps who are coming into our county. So we've got to make sure that we have quality tourism in Pembrokeshire. But it's really interesting. What we're trying to do is to just make sure we get as much done as we can. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because we're doing this against the backdrop of what's going on in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And that is, I think, something that is obviously concerning everybody. I've got to say, I think Keir Starmer has played this one well. I think not dragging us into a war. Once you're in a war, very difficult to get out of it. And of course, you had Nigel Farage reform, and you had Kemi Badenoch saying, right, come on, let's get in there. Let's go and support the Americans. You just think, hang on a minute. Once you go into that, you become a real target. So I think he's playing this well. I think we've learned from the Iraq war. And I just think what we need at this moment is calm, seriousness, stability, because it is affecting people, and it will affect people. You've seen it already in terms of things like the impact on the heating oil, which I think we touched upon last week, but it's been great this week. Yeah, £3.8 million coming to Wales to help people out. So I would want to encourage people who are struggling to get it, because we already have a fund, actually. Welsh Government already has a fund called the Discretionary Assistance Fund, and we also work with the Fuel Bank Foundation. So if you are struggling, get in touch with your council, and what we can do with this money now is to top up that fund which already exists, because we were always there, ready to help people who are struggling with their fuel bills.
Yeah, an example there of how international conflicts do impact us right here on our very own doorsteps. We did touch on it last week. I mentioned that fuel prices, particularly diesel, has gone up 15 or 20 pence per litre, depending on where you are. And there is that reliance of a lot of rural communities here on oil. Keir Starmer addressing the nation on television to say that we want to support you. You mentioned the Discretionary Assistance Fund. How do people find access to this £3.8 million to actually support them if they're thinking, I don't know how I'm going? Like, luckily we're heading into summer, but if we're thinking actually this is a real issue, what are the actual entry points for that?
So the thing to do is to get in touch with the local council, and they will direct you to that fund. They're the ones responsible for working out, right, who's most in need now, do you need it, how does it work? So they already have a pot of funding that we give to them every year. So this is available immediately, unlike in England and in other places. And the great thing here is, I managed to speak to Keir Starmer last week and say, hang on a minute, Keir, don't just give us our 5% of the population, because actually you've got more people in Wales who are dependent on oil to heat their homes. So he's listened to that, and he's given us proportionate share according to how many people heat their homes. So that's a good thing. And that's one of the benefits of being in the same party, is I can literally pick up the phone and get things like that sorted. So, whatever comes next, that's a bonus for, when you're in the same party.
Yeah, so there you go. Get in touch with the local council. Actually, a word on the local council. The votes came in last night for Milford Haven and Hakin. Scott Thorley Reform UK being voted in for that area. Of course, there was no Labour candidate on the ballot, but the Conservatives second. I think it was Lee Mills Independent third for that one.
Yeah, listen, that was a difficult situation where obviously the Labour candidates stepped back because of some abuse that she had. That's really unacceptable, I think, in politics. But look, the important thing now is to recognise that there will be a choice in the Senedd elections. And, people will have a choice in Pembrokeshire. Listen, at the moment, Pembrokeshire has somebody literally leading the government, leading the country, who has an understanding and sensitivity for the area. Clearly, that's a choice for them if they want to continue, but, they could have an absolute, people representing them who literally will not get anywhere near that level of power. So, what I think people will need to ask themselves, what is best for the county? How can I make sure that the voice of Pembrokeshire is heard absolutely at the heart of government? And, in my case, I can take it to the heart of the UK government.
Yeah. Sticking with Pembrokeshire, actually, and having your voices heard, people of South Pembrokeshire very vocal about losing their last remaining bank in Pembroke Dock fairly recently. I know that Sam Kurtz, Conservative member at in the Senedd, has teamed up with lots of people. I didn't fully appreciate just how many people were involved in it, spearheaded arguably by Sam, and I was there on Thursday to celebrate the return of the banking hub. This is a great success story for politics and for community.
Yeah, I think this is great. And I think, a lot of people were concerned about this. And I think, to be fair, this has been very much a cross-government thing. So I know Henry Tufnell's been really active. I've been down to Pembroke Dock to speak to people. People need access to their money. And I think that this is great. It's obviously kind of more in the space of the UK government in terms of determining where these things go. They have a link system, so they determine, right, where are these kind of cash point deserts, and so that's been really great. And it's important to make sure we have access for people to their cash locally. So the UK Labour government, this is one of 350 banking hubs that are being rolled out across the country. So it's really great that we managed to land one of these for Pembrokeshire.
Yeah, and there was also a piece of cake there for me as well, which was nice. So really enjoyed that. So watch this space, because one thing that I found out whilst being there is that they want to start putting that in process within 3 months. That is the next stage now. So we're going to see movement sooner rather than later, which is quite nice. Usually you hear a victory and you think, so when's it starting? So it's nice to know that that's just around the corner for us. And then, in fact, similar actually about cross politics and cross policy going on. You mentioned earlier about getting the bills through Senedd before it dissolves at the end of next week. There was a lovely piece of legislation brought forward by Mark Isherwood of North Wales, looking at British Sign Language, which had cross-party approval, and it got passed in very quickly to help those that are reliant on British Sign Language.
Yeah, and this is an example of where the Senedd works really well. Where we all agree, then we can get things done really quickly. And this is a great example. Mark Isherwood has issues with his hearing, so he's been leading that. But it was great because the government just said, right, come on then, let's see if we can do it. If you're all prepared to cooperate and work together, we can do it really quickly. And we managed that. And it was just so lovely to see all of the people in the gallery, British Sign Language people who were hard of hearing, who were deaf, and it was just great watching their response. They were absolutely overjoyed. But they're just some of the people that we're very anxious to help. Poverty is one of the things that we're particularly interested in tackling. And look, I know people are really struggling with the cost of living at the moment. It's really important to recognise that, and that's why we've been absolutely committed to making sure we keep things in place. And there is a danger that these could go. So free prescriptions, free school meals for primary schools, free breakfast, £1 bus fares for the under 21-year-olds. And, little things like free parking in hospitals, that doesn't exist in England. We pay the real living wage to care workers. And, we've put up the education maintenance allowance, the thing that helps to keep people in schools or sixth forms or further education, £40 a week. That really matters and keeps some people there. And in terms of students, we have the most generous package of support when it comes to student maintenance of anywhere in the UK. So that's all really good. And you know, we've done things like we've expanded free childcare, and you know, we'll be going further than that in the next Senedd. And the key thing for me is, look, I'm really worried about youth unemployment. That's one of my big concerns. So the Young Persons Guarantee, 55,000 people we've managed to help support, on top of our help from apprenticeships and things like that. So all of these things for me are trying to help people with the struggles that they're going through. So there's real opportunities, I think, for us to keep going on that.
Yeah, and on Sunday, the 22nd of March, so this coming Sunday, a very special episode of Pure Politics, where we've invited all of the lead candidates on the ballot to give a 5-minute promo as to what they want at the upcoming, should they be voted in for the next Senedd election. So stay tuned for that one. That'll be between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Sunday. And lastly, purple plaques was something that was being put forward. Jemima Nicholas, you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of her.
Oh no, wow, what a character. I'd love to have met her. And a few years ago, there was this wonderful woman who basically just turned herself into Jemima Nicholas. She just walked around Fishguard all the time, dressed up as Jemima Nicholas. She was a wonderful character. And it's been great to recognise her with a purple plaque. And it was one of these things, you know, you'd have these blue plaques recognising people all around the country. And there weren't any hardly to women at all. So a group of women got together and just started making sure that these women are recognised, and you know, people like Megan Lloyd George and yes, Jemima Nicholas. So that's really, really good to see that. And just one more plug, if you don't mind, Tom, because I think it'll be of interest to people. We've got a new low interest loan scheme, which is for farmers, and that'll be run through the Development Bank of Wales. And what it means is that they can borrow money at 3% interest, repayable over 15 years. So if you're interested in that, get your name down with the Development Bank of Wales.
Thank you very much. And that was for farmers' agricultural sector, was that right?
That's right.
There we go. Eluned Morgan, thank you so much on the eve of your last week in Senedd before it dissolves. We'll catch up again next week and maybe have a reflection as to an even further reflection as to what your time has been like. Thank you so much. We played ABBA, Take a Chance on Me. What song have we got next for us?
This is Kool and the Gang, Get Down on It. It's one of my favourites.
It's coming up next here on Purist Radio, as are some of the cast of Dear Evan Hansen coming to the Boulevard Theatre from tomorrow. So stay tuned for that one. It's gone 8:20. Eluned Morgan, diolch yn fawr iawn.
Diolch.
Wake up with Gina and Tom, weekdays